Traveler from another world, I call upon you. Come forth, celestial wolf! That's an odd-looking wolf. Hey everyone, my name's Haki, and I go by Kurakaras or Zero online, and I'm making a deck building action roguelike, where you take the form of a celestial demigod, traveling through different shards of realities in order to eradicate a corruption that's infecting everything in all of creation, including your prodigal, wayward siblings. You'll have a baseline of options to defend yourself with, of course. But you can also augment your abilities using your space and time bending deck of cards to equip different spells, weapons, and now summon minions to help you out on the hunt. That's right, summon minions. If you missed my initial devlog, you should go back and check that one out, link in the description. It goes through everything from my initial idea to implementing prototype versions of the first two combat pillars. Now, there's a lot going on with this update, and I want to get back to development, so let's get into it, shall we? While this project doesn't scratch the ceiling of the immersive sim genre, I want it to be very systems driven, at least for someone at my skill level. As such, making summon minions work like I wanted them to required creating and updating several NPC systems, including authoring a new aggression mechanic, a new attack system, an update to the navigation systems, object detection mechanics, custom typing for character class derived entities, and of course, the highlight feature, a group/gang mechanic. These systems need to be ironed out, but they are generic and modular enough to work for a multitude of different NPC types, and they allow for NPCs to have very basic interactions with each other. The main interaction being, of course, aggressively beating on anything different than them with extreme prejudice. All NPC entities now have the ability to detect who or what attacked them recently and track their overall aggression level. This works in conjunction with the attack and navigation systems, where the navigation system holds navigational information like the target position, while the attack system dictates what attack is next, which target is being attacked, and when the NPC can attack its target. When an NPC is attacked, the aggression manager takes the attacker and compares it against a list that holds the most recent attackers. From there, it calculates how much to add to its aggression meter, as well as storing the attacker in the list if they aren't already there. If applicable, the aggression manager will also request the attack manager to switch active targets. The request to switch targets simply involves a random D10 roll to see if the target should actually be switched out or not. The plan is that characters won't just attack indefinitely. Right now, I have a Boolean property called has attack ticket. Later, I plan to add functionality where I'll make a list of structs that tracks which characters are in line to attack and how much priority to attack they have, and then give them permission to attack based on these parameters. That way, I can more easily manage how much an entity can get attacked. Right now, there are a controlled number of characters in any given scene, so giving out attack tickets to entities doesn't do much. But the bones are there, and the system is designed, so I just have to implement it. Regardless of that though, right now the NPC attack manager will request the navigation system to calculate a path towards the target when there's an active target available. That's the general purpose of the navigation system, to try to track a path towards a specific target, whether that be one of my custom navigation nodes in the environment or another character entity. It works by utilizing Unity's own nav agent / nav mesh systems, and it was honestly absolute hell getting that system working well with the root motion and certain animations, as well as Unity's own character controller, which itself powers my character's general locomotion capabilities. In the end, most NPC states will default to using the nav agent, and certain states will switch off the agent's calculations to use root motion or physics in conjunction with the character controller component as need be. Kinda hacky right now, but it works well enough so far. In the next phase, it'll get a lot more testing. I also created a detection system for my NPCs. It works very similar to regular eyesight in a lot of other games, particularly stealth games, except I didn't need my characters to be unable to see through walls, so that little bit of complexity was taken out of the design, at least for the moment. It works with the character typing system to give NPCs the ability to determine if there's a viable target nearby. The character typing system I wrote isn't complex at all. It's all scriptable object based, and for the uninitiated, scriptable objects are a feature in Unity. You see, an object, in programming terms, is a container for properties the user defines, similar to a class. In fact, in C# specifically, an object is just an instance of a class. Unity uses something called game objects as their base building block, and they're essentially objects that are serializable in Unity's editor, meaning you can check out the properties, or at least the serialized ones, in the inspector. But Unity also uses another type of specialized object called a scriptable object. Scriptable objects are similar to game objects in that they're designed to be used in Unity's editor, but they don't come with the standard callbacks like await or update, and instead can be used to hold and share data across many different use cases and instances. In that sense, they're honestly a lot closer to regular objects in languages like JavaScript and TypeScript. With that being said, the character type system simply uses instances of a scriptable object called character type and just compares between the instances when needed. For instance, if you have one character that is the corrupted type and detects a character that doesn't carry that corrupted type, then that alone can initiate combat between these two characters. Simple enough, and with that I was closer to my goal, but I still had to actually make the group mechanics. All of those systems and updates was to give the NPCs the ability to form groups. This system revolves around two new classes, Character Group Member and Character Group Leader, which inherits from Member. Okay, let's go over Group Leader first. Group leaders drive the logic of the group as a whole. Not only do they hold a reference to the group members, but they also determine how far group members can stray from each other, as well as directing members on who to attack based on who is attacking them or who the leader themselves is attacking. The group member class, meanwhile, holds a reference to the group leader and has a bunch of helper functions to help bridge the gap between the respective character class and the leader itself. So yeah, let's talk about delegates. Delegates and events, they're great. We are big fans of the observer principle in this house, and the concept drives a lot of the functionality behind these systems. When an NPC detects something, they emit an event that holds data related to that something, and other classes can essentially observe for that event and run logic when they detect it. Right now, if an NPC is a group leader, there's logic that runs that determines if the detected object is a character that can join the group based on character type and whether or not they're already in a group. Hey, I'm even using events to tell group members when the leader is attacking a character, who they are attacking, and when they themselves are being attacked. Delegates and events in general are great for decoupling logic and making interlocking systems less dependent on references to each other. Sometimes you need that reference, and sometimes you can just have it run as a standalone method. I'd recommend checking on how your engine or framework of choice handles the observer principle. Do a quick Google search and see how it works for you. It's a great tool to have in your tool belt, trust me. Using all of these pieces, I derived a new class from Group Leader called Player Main Controller. This class has all of the functionality of a group leader, but instead of finding members in the environment, it has methods to allow for the summoning of creatures to use as minions. These creatures are automatically configured with a group member object, and yeah, bada bing, bada boom. Because they still derive from the character class, they have all the functionality of a basic NPC, and they're pretty much ready to go right out the box. Okay, so last time I promised I'd go more into the first two cards. So this one here is the short sword. It's a weapon card that costs 12 ether to use. As I mentioned in the first devlog, weapon cards temporarily equip your character with a melee weapon. This is a very basic melee weapon, so it adds 1 to your basic attack power and comes with all of the basic moves. However, it has an extensive list of combos, and I'm designing the move list to be pretty versatile in pretty much any given scenario. And this here is the Fireball card. It's a spell card, costs 7 ether to use, and spells are different from weapons in that they hold charges and sit in your spell satchel, which you can see on the bottom right. You can switch to any of these spells at any time and use them as long as they have a charge. The Fireball starts with 5 charges and deals 3 damage. Also, actually firing a spell costs ether as well, and currently it costs 12 ether per use of Fireball. World Generation, baby! Can you tell I'm a little bit excited? Next up, I want to get some areas whiteboxed as well as some basic systems for world generation. My idea is to essentially use modular pieces to procedurally and dynamically build an environment from a template in stages. Something like generating the level layout, then placing the trees and foliage, structures, props, and then finally the NPCs. Hopefully I can build to be generic enough to handle a lot of different scenarios. However, I imagine this might take some time, so in between completing these huge world building tasks, I'm going to, as a friend would say, put a face to it and polish what I have. Nothing too crazy, but in the next devlog, expect to see elements of character creation, new visual effects, some actual sound effects, and maybe some new cinematography. Also, I'm writing systems for the first element in my element system.
Fire!
That was a Beavis and Butthead reference. I don't even think kids these days know who those guys are. But yeah, the Fireball spell will soon be able to propagate fire effects, and that joint will spread to other entities in the game world. How fun! Thanks for checking this project out. You know, I never imagined anyone other than my friends will look at these videos, and now my first devlog is pushing about 100 views. I know that's not a lot, but I think it's a good start, and I appreciate everyone for watching. If you dig this kind of stuff, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, all the YouTube stuff, it all helps. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in May.